South Africa, a nation renowned for its resilience and spirit of Ubuntu, finds itself entangled in the clutches of a pervasive enemy: corruption. Like a venomous serpent, corruption has slithered into the fabric of society, poisoning the very essence of our democracy. It preys on the vulnerable, widens the chasm between rich and poor, and casts a long shadow over our collective future. From the highest echelons of power to the everyday lives of ordinary citizens, corruption has become a suffocating reality. It manifests in countless forms, from grand schemes of state capture to petty bribery that erodes the moral fiber of our nation. The consequences are dire, leaving our people disillusioned and our institutions weakened. The statistics paint a grim picture. South Africa ranks dismally on global corruption indices, a stark reminder of the scale of the challenge we face. But behind these numbers lie countless stories of shattered dreams, unrealized potential, and a profound sense of betrayal. It is a betrayal of the hard-won freedoms we fought for, and a betrayal of the vision of a just and equitable society. Corruption exacts a heavy toll on South Africa, but its most devastating impact is on the poor and marginalized. It is a cruel irony that while our nation boasts vast mineral wealth, millions of our people languish in poverty. Corruption diverts vital resources from those who need them most, perpetuating a vicious cycle of deprivation. When funds meant for essential services are siphoned off into private pockets, it is the poor who suffer the consequences. Hospitals crumble, schools lack basic supplies, and communities are deprived of essential infrastructure. The result is a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots, fueling social unrest and undermining our collective progress. Corruption also stifles economic growth, discouraging investment and job creation. It creates an uneven playing field where businesses operating ethically are undercut by those willing to engage in corrupt practices. This climate of impunity only benefits a select few, while the majority are left behind, trapped in a cycle of poverty and despair. Corruption's corrosive influence extends far beyond the economic sphere, undermining the very foundation of society. Education, healthcare, and the rule of law, all essential pillars of a thriving nation, have been severely compromised. In the education sector, corruption robs our children of their funds intended for textbooks, school meals, and infrastructure are often misappropriated, leaving schools under-equipped and overcrowded. This perpetuates a cycle of inequality, where children from denied the opportunity to reach their full potential. The healthcare system too bears the brunt of corruption. Hospitals are plagued by shortages of essential medicines and equipment, while qualified medical professionals are often lured away by more lucrative opportunities abroad. This leaves the most vulnerable members of our society, the poor and the sick, at the mercy of a failing system. Corruption is the rule of law, undermining public trust in law enforcement agencies and the justice system. When those entrusted with upholding the law are themselves implicated in corrupt practices, it creates a climate of impunity, little fear of consequence. The result is a surge in crime rates, leaving communities living in fear and eroding the social fabric of our nation. The legacy of apartheid casts a long shadow over South Africa. Decades of systematic discrimination left the black community economically and socially marginalized. The Black Economic Empowerment (BE) initiative was conceived as a means to redress these historical injustices, but it has, in many ways, fallen short of its promise. While BE has undoubtedly created a new black elite, it has failed to uplift the majority of black South Africans who remain trapped in poverty. Corruption within the BE system has allowed a select few to enrich themselves at the expense of the broader black community. This has led to a growing sense of disillusionment and resentment, undermining the very goals of reconciliation and social cohesion. The plight of black townships is a stark reminder of the unfulfilled promises of BE. These communities, still bearing the scars of apartheid, are characterized by high unemployment, inadequate housing, and a lack of basic services. Corruption within local government structures further exacerbates these challenges, diverting resources intended for development into the pockets of corrupt officials. Section 5. The ANC and the Erosion of Trust, a Legacy Marred by Corruption. The African National Congress, the party that led South Africa to freedom, has been deeply implicated in the scourge of corruption that plagues our nation. This is a painful truth that we cannot ignore. The ANC, once a beacon of hope and liberation, has seen its moral authority eroded by a series of high-profile corruption scandals. From allegations of state capture to the misappropriation of public funds, the ANC has struggled to shake off the perception that it has become more interested in self-enrichment than in serving the people. This has led to a profound erosion of trust in the party and in government institutions more broadly. The lack of accountability for those implicated in corruption, particularly within the ranks of the ANC, has further fueled public anger and cynicism. This culture of impunity sends a dangerous message that corruption is tolerated and that those in positions of power are above the law. This undermines the very foundations of our democracy and threatens to unravel the progress we have made since 1994. Despite the bleak picture painted by corruption's grip on South Africa, we must never surrender to despair. The spirit of Ubuntu, our interconnectedness and shared humanity, reminds us that we have the collective power to overcome even the most daunting challenges. The fight against corruption is not merely a legal or political battle, it is a moral imperative, a fight for the soul of our nation. Rebuilding trust and integrity will require a multi-pronged approach, a societal shift that goes beyond mere rhetoric. It demands a commitment to transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership at all levels of society. It is a journey that will require courage, determination, and the unwavering belief in our collective ability to create a more just and equitable South Africa. The path forward will be arduous, but we can draw inspiration from our past triumphs. Just as we overcame the tyranny of apartheid through our collective will and unwavering commitment to justice, we can triumph over corruption. This insidious foe seeks to divide us, to erode our faith in ourselves and our institutions. But we, the people of South Africa, have proven time and again that our spirit cannot be broken. To dismantle the structures of corruption, we must fortify the pillars of justice. This demands strengthening our institutions, empowering them to act independently and decisively against corruption, regardless of where it manifests or who it implicates. The judiciary, the National Prosecuting Authority, and law enforcement agencies must be equipped with the resources and independence to investigate and prosecute corruption without fear or favor. This includes shielding them from political interference and ensuring the appointment of individuals with impeccable integrity and a proven track record of upholding the law. Transparency and accountability must become the cornerstones of governance. Public procurement processes, often exploited for corrupt gain, must be reformed to ensure fairness, competitiveness, and value for money. Whistleblower protection mechanisms need strengthening to encourage those with knowledge of wrongdoing to come forward without fear of reprisal. Combating corruption requires more than just top-down approaches. It demands empowering communities and uplifting the lives of ordinary South Africans. This entails investing in education, healthcare, and job creation, particularly in marginalized communities that have borne the brunt of corruption's impact. Education is the cornerstone of a just and equitable society. We must provide our children with quality education that equips them with the knowledge, skills, and values to become ethical leaders and responsible citizens. This includes investing in early childhood development, ensuring equal access to quality basic education, and expanding opportunities for vocational training and higher education. Access to quality healthcare is a fundamental human right. We must strive to create a healthcare system that is accessible, affordable, and responsive to the needs of all South Africans. This requires addressing corruption within the healthcare sector, ensuring adequate funding for public hospitals and clinics, and investing in the training and retention of skilled healthcare professionals. The fight against corruption is not the sole responsibility of government or any single institution. It is a collective responsibility that demands the active participation of all South Africans. We must foster a culture of intolerance for corruption, where ethical behavior is celebrated and wrongdoing is swiftly and decisively addressed. Civil society organizations, religious institutions, and community leaders all have a crucial role to play in raising awareness about the detrimental effects of corruption and mobilizing communities to demand accountability. The media, too, has a responsibility to report on corruption fearlessly and to hold those in power accountable. The journey ahead will be challenging, but we must never lose sight of the vision of a South Africa free from corruption, a nation where all its citizens have an equal opportunity to thrive. It is a vision worth striving for, a vision that honors the sacrifices of our past and secures a brighter future for generations to come. Let us, together, summon the courage and determination to build that South Africa, a nation defined not by corruption, but by justice, equality, and the enduring spirit of Ubuntu.